Hi, I'm a tiny Danny Butler, and this is the big twin shock episode of Trial Tube. This week on Trial Tube, we're kicking it old school, and I've decided, because I've been asked quite a bit in the comments, to get a twin shock on the channel. So I got my hands on, and when I say got my hands on, I mean got loaned by a very good friend, the cleanest Fantic 200 I could find, which not only has a lot of history, but this bike also started a movement of lower cc bikes for younger riders. Now, a lot of people don't realise that this little Fantic 200, which is actually 156cc, this bike was the result of many laws changing, meaning that if you were under 16, you couldn't ride a bike more than a certain cc. Basically, you couldn't ride a 250 anymore.
No.
So Fantic very quickly jumped on the bandwagon and people started to import lower cc bikes into the country. Well, into every country.
Get away from there! You don't have permission to be aboard there, mate.
I'm sorry, it's such a pretty boat. Trip.
Now, as an Italian brand, Fantic were no strangers to building little engine two-strokes. Obviously, every Italian in the world likes riding a 50cc moped to the point where it sounds like it's going to explode. So Fantic started to create bikes specifically for trials, and I have it on very good authority that this little beauty very quickly became what can only be described as a TY Majesty eater. Now, Fantic as a brand throughout the 80s did incredibly well, with 3 World Championship titles to their name and 7 wins of the Scottish 6 Days. They were no slouch. Fantic have seen great riders go through their midst, like Diego Bossis, Steve Saunders, Terry Michaud, Tommy Avala, just to name a few, and a firm favourite of mine, John Lampkin. Now, Fantics are always easily recognised by that very famous conical rear hub that actually houses the drum brake and the sprocket on the same side of the wheel. I should have found out why that is and whether it was weight distribution or something like that, but I only feel like I ever saw this design on Fantics. Now, this particular very special bike actually has a rear kickstart. Now, for those that are into Fantics, they'll know that Fantics were very famous for actually having a forward kickstart. So you'd fold it out and kick it that way, which was weird.
Okay, let's party.
Oh, what? Don't tell me I've got to put it in neutral. Wow. Let's do that again, that was rubbish. Perfect. Oh, it's like sticky mud now. It's like platform shoes mud. So here we go, Fantic 200. I've never rode one of these before in my life. And you know what, with this hydraulic clutch on, it feels pretty good, pretty modern. That brake's rubbish though. So front brake only territory, clutch out, old school. I was told I don't do enough non-stop on the channel.
No.
So let's try and see if I can get that tight corner in. So we're going to try and get the tight corner in at the end, because, well, people keep telling me I don't do things non-stop enough. Do you not think that riders that can hop haven't learned how to ride non-stop first. You know, I thought that'd be obvious. Nice and steady, plenty of compression, loads of engine braking. Woo! So this is first gear only, people. First gear only on this bad boy. And it does it all. I don't know what these modern bikes are messing about at. 6 gears? What's the point? She sounds good though. Plenty of front brake because that's the only brake I've got. Yeah. I'm getting absolutely soaked today. All for the love of the YouTube content.
No.
Now, I've done the tight turning thing. We just did pretty much an uphill hairpin, and it's starting to get really wet. Now, this little 200, so far I've been surprised. In first gear, it's grunty, grippy, does everything it says it should do on the tin. Hill climb! First gear to get down there. Old school turnaround. It just keeps gripping. So I'm thinking a cheeky second gear. You know, the selection on this bike for its age it's absolutely stunning. Well, that's where the CC ran out. I know it could have pulled me then, so I'm going to try for second again. Now, you would have seen bikes like these very famously rule the roost on TV shows like Kickstart. If you're not from the UK, you don't know what Kickstart is, I advise you get educated. TV show, 70s and 80s, it was class. Oh, easy. So I'm currently in third gear and it's still pulling over everything, just easy.
No.
I might even start trying some of the more modern step lines in a minute.
I mean, come on, Ed, it's bullcrap. Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Here we go. Modern line. So I was going to go and try and get up the climb, followed by the step at the end. You know, if I do this on this bike, it just proves to everybody that twin shocks are awesome. Awesome. See if I can do this.
Frank, if I do land this jump, will you respect me?
Letting the big 200 loose.
Winner!
Now, seeing as we've got an old school bike, I think we can do something pretty old school. Now, I can't steal the music for Kickstart because, well, copyright law and all that malarkey.
No.
But I think we should do a Kickstart style section. And here at the compound, we've got, well, some pretty old school lines. So, Kickstart run. Here we go. So here we have young Danny Butler from Stoke-on-Trent in Staffordshire. Danny's very young, 34 years old, and he says when he grows up he wants to be a professional trials rider on a push bike, which makes no sense at all. He's riding a Fantic 200, and that thing looks like it's brand new. So he's on a brand new bike. This is great news. So here we go, the clock is set, and he's off. So into this first turn, he's down that big dip, leaning back, and driving up the log easy. Now for the time, the obstacles on Kickstart weren't huge. They were mostly built up of things like small step downs into tricky climbs, and tyres like these, where the riders had to make sure they held the grip, leant off the back, and made sure they kept the momentum going, because, well, the twin shock, although it's a 200, she ain't light, and if you're a young lad, it was very easy to get tipped over. So you've got to keep her moving, non-stop. I hate non-stop. Obstacles like this were often seen on Kickstart. Balance beams to cotton reels to balance beams down. This was like Kickstart bread and butter. And then at the end of these sections, there'd always be a massive great hill climb as like a dash to the finish, which would always end up having something like a small log in front of it, so that they didn't really have any run up. They'd have to get over the log and then power into the hill. Woo! Finishing the section. Great work there from young Danny.
McFly, you're a slacker.
You know, after riding it, I feel bad that I've got it this dirty. It was stunning. It is stunning. What am I on about? It was stunning. It is stunning. And it almost makes me feel like I need to get rid of mine and buy one with twin shock. I have a feeling that many of the twin shock riders would absolutely destroy me.
No.
I love it.
Winner!
Now today we're going to be talking about boots, trousers, gloves, and helmets. By the way, I don't advise you to leave your helmet on your handlebars like this because, well, it means it can fall, hit the ground, and then you have to buy a new one. I'm only doing this for videoing purposes, and whilst I'm doing it, I'm panicking every second about my helmet falling off the handlebar. Nice one, Clever Clogs. So let's start with the most important. Trials helmets. Mine's an Aero TRR carbon, and what can I say? Trials helmets should be open-faced. They should obviously be worn at all times. If you're starting the bike and getting on there, then put your helmet on. There's no excuse to not be wearing a helmet. If you haven't got one, don't ride until you've saved up and bought one. You've only got one head, so protect it. Obviously, I've chose Aero, and I've not been paid to do this, by the way. This is completely my own preference. I wear one of these because they're light, they're comfortable, and I've got a massive Swede, which means, well, I have to find a helmet that's comfortable because all of them just feel like I'm wearing a dustbin. I also like the catch on the Aero because it's a small ratchet. There used to be like a double D-ring, but it's easy to get to, it's adjustable, and it's easy to take your helmet on and off. I know a lot of riders like to have their helmet off when they're walking sections. Also, try and find a helmet that's ventilated because, well, in trials you do move around a lot, but you also stand still a lot, so there's no real airflow going through the helmet, so try and find one that's ventilated. Next up, a trials glove. Now a trials glove should be thin, not overly protective, comfortable, have a nice thin palm, and comfortable. That's what's most important. I've chose S3 because, to be honest, I'd never actually worn this brand before, but after I'd split from another well-known trials brand, I just went out and bought some gear. And this stuff, well, it's that light it blows away. Trials boots. I choose Alpine Star because, well, I've worn them since I was a kid. They're great boots. My last set lasted me nearly 2 years. And, well, a trials boot should be grippy on the sole, have nice strong clips on them. Some brands boast that they're waterproof, but I haven't found one yet that actually stays waterproof. They're pretty good for the first 5 minutes, and then after that they all leak in like a sieve. So yeah, not much more to say about them. Just don't wear trainers or wellies. They used to wear wellies back in the day, but we're not back in the day anymore, and trials boots are readily available. Last thing, trousers. Yeah, tight.
It's not a dress, it's a kilt. Sicko.
So the S3 trouser, I'm actually quite impressed with. Like I said, I have purchased these, and they come with a knee pad in, which is quite substantial, which other trousers don't normally come with knee pads, or if they have got them, then they're pitiful. And they also come with a real pocket in. As you can see, I can actually get my my phone in there, which is interesting. So one more good thing about these S3 trousers is not only do they wash really well, but they've also got this little sort of padded pocket in the bum, which, to be honest, is kind of good because the padding's quite substantial for those people that end up sitting on their rear end in a section. But yeah, I like them so far. Like I said, I've not been paid to talk about S3 or the trousers or the kit. I haven't been given this, I've purchased it with my money. I just think, well, it's pretty good. I'm impressed, and I've worn a lot of kit. So as always, thank you for watching TrialTube. Remember to like, share and subscribe. That's really important, honestly. Your views are great and I love every one of them. But if you can, take a little bit of time to subscribe, that'd be great. And also share, because we're a small community and I really appreciate the support, I really do. I hope you've enjoyed our my Twin Shock edition. I do apologise if I didn't know everything about this bike because, well, it's a bit before my time in all fairness, and I'd like to thank the person that donated this bike to the channel just for this episode as well. It's a very special piece of kit and I hope I've done it justice on video. In the next few weeks we've got some really, really exciting things coming up. We've got a very special beta on its way. We have an episode that I'm shooting tomorrow that will include 3 of the most iconic 80s monoshock bikes ever created. One for the 4-stroke fans. And most importantly, we've just gone over the 2K mark with our subs. So please, please keep liking and sharing. I really appreciate the support. The more support I get, the more I'm going to keep doing these videos. And so far, we're on a likes to hate ratio of about 100 likes to every 1 dislike. I know who you are and I'll find you. I will find you, like Jay and Silent Bob. But for now, thank you for watching TrialTube. Have a good weekend, stay safe. Cheers. Bye-bye. Okay, let's get this thing started. Neutral. Magic!
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like